Hello, everyone. Welcome to yet another episode of Gospot. This is our second Minisode that we dedicate to a book or a book review. Today, here with me is Leraje.
I'm Hail Satan.
Hi, and my name is Ligeia. Hail Satan. So, for those of you who were listening to the first Minisode that we dedicated to one book, we didn't tell you which book we are going to talk about today. Would you like to?
Well, we said it was a classic, didn't we? We said it was a
Yes,
classic, and it
yes.
is. It is, drum roll, The Exorcist by William Peter Blatty.
Bloody, yes. So I guess because we are just starting with these books, book reviews, this was my choice, The Exorcist. But the reason why I chose this is because I think it's such an iconic
Mm,
movie and a book, which
yeah,
like the book was first, but I think that more people know the movie, so that's why I'm saying it like that.
yeah.
So I just wanted to make sure that people who know the movie and like the movie would maybe give it a try and read
Mm.
it. And so, where do we even start?
So, as I understand it, this is the first time you've actually read the book, isn't it?
It is for me, yes.
Yeah. But you'd already seen the movie.
Yes, many times.
Yeah. It was reversed for me.
Uh-huh.
Um, I read the book, God, I don't know, a long time ago, 30 years ago. And at the time, the movie was actually still banned in the UK when I
Oh,
read the
was
book.
it?
I think,
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't
Uh,
even know.
So yeah, I read the book first.
Was the book banned also at
No,
some
the book was
point?
never banned.
No?
It's weird, isn't it? How
Interesting.
movies get
It's
banned, but books.
interesting
Mm.
because we will get there, but like, I mean, it's not any softer. Oh, it's quite the opposite, I would say. Okay, whatever. I didn't know that. But this was you think it was like shortly after the movie was made, which was I think 1973?
I can't remember if it was had a brief showing and then got banned here.
Yeah.
It wasn't banned in America. I think it was just over here, because of our delicate British sense of innocence.
Ooh. Oh yeah. Okay, so the book was written by William Peter Blatty in 1971. The story is about a mm, single mother or like a divorced mom, Chris, and she's got this one daughter. She's like a fresh 12 years old girl. Um, the mom is an actress, so it's in the 70s. This is like really interesting. Uh, her world and the job she does. And like she's trying to raise this child by herself, and she's got some help. She has like two servants and some secretary living in the house. There is like a huge beautiful uh mansion or house, so that was also interesting in the book, the details and everything of the like they lived. And this girl starts having some health issues. She takes her to the doctors and stuff like that, and it's like a little bit weird. Nobody really knows what it is, so they are trying to find out. They are like trying to scan her brain and blood pressure and stuff like that, like the first things that you do when you're not sure what's happening, because it's mostly like nightmares and like weird sounds happening in the house at night. And like the room of the child begins to like be freezing temperatures, even though it's like the window is closed. Everything, like it's like slowly going. The whole book is, I would say, it's a slow burning but um paying off read. Like for me it was good that it was like slow, and then it hits you at stages like those points where it hits hard, and I really really like that.
I
So
think he was very careful to kind of like make sure that the scientific and logical and medical explanations were kind of exhausted.
yes, Yeah, that was the whole issue. Like there was team of people created by this mother who was really desperate to help this child. She loves her so much, and she's still very delicate and fragile. It's this fragile age of, she's becoming a young lady, but she's still a child, and now there was this divorce. So everything that's going on in her mind, it's a combination of
Yeah,
the man of science and a man of, let's say, religion or faith.
yeah,
And I really liked about the book. I was a little bit skeptical. I need to say that. Maybe this is why I was hesitant. I was scared this book will be more like commentary about the faith and the science, but it wasn't. I don't think
yeah.
it was. I never had a feeling that the author Blatty, was trying to force me to think either way. I did not
Mm,
feel that. So I think this book is for people who are religious, who are believers, as well as for people who are like us, more skeptical and not believing in, what is it, supernatural.
I mean, I think the time it was written was kind of quite telling as well. It's kind of at the sort of the middle of the kind of like age of rationalism,
Yes.
um, when America was coming off the back of very successful uh, moon landings and scientific endeavors and
Mm-hmm.
things like that. And it seemed very clear to me that he wanted to make sure that the science was well explored
Yeah.
before he wanted to make sure that when the kind of like demonic possession was presented for exactly what it was, that there could be no other explanation for it.
Yes, exactly. I made some notes about it here, like the the tension he was able to create uh, between all these people who were really trying to find what it is that's torturing this
Yeah,
this 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 girl.
yeah.
I had a feeling that they really did try everything they could.
Well, they did. I mean, even Father Karras, his first impulse was to say, "Have you taken her to a psychiatrist?
Yeah,
Have you exhausted all the medical possibilities?" And
yeah,
he's kind of like a Jesuit priest,
yeah,
so it was very rooted in the kind. He definitely wanted to make it as real and based in science.
yeah. I really love that about this book. Like it wasn't just like a, like a fairy tale. Okay, so we have some demon here and we see ghosts. No, everybody could see what was happening. It wasn't just like one person observing something and nobody else can see it or there is no witness to it. There were many witnesses to what was happening. But still, it's like it's really, really interesting because it was also like the 70s, the mental health wasn't that well explored.
No,
And they knew it. They knew, these doctors knew that maybe we just don't know. They were still trying to put some label on it, but the symptoms never actually fit. So, you know, that was also something that I was trying to like just go back in time in my mind. Like, okay, so these people really didn't have all the information we have, which I still think is really small even today. But like 50 years ago, to find mental illness symptoms and to know what to do with her, jeeps, you know, it's
yeah,
terrifying.
and there was all these kind of like other these kind of like secondary characters in the background that were also giving possible motivation to Reagan's illness.
Oh
So
yeah,
like Reagan thought at one point that Burke Dennings and Chris McNeil were kind of like having a relationship, and
yeah.
Blatty seemed to be sort of like suggesting that maybe this was a reason why Reagan was acting.
Like she was like not
Yeah,
unconscious, but what is it, like subconsciously angry. about the
Yeah, angry
divorce,
about it.
frustrated, didn't know what to do. It is possible, even though I have my own little theory, which I want to get
Yeah,
to, but I still have my notes here. So I just wanted to like, I think many people will not agree with
I
what I'm
just want
gonna
to
say.
say I just want to say for the purposes of the audio that Ligeia and I are doing this bit through video, and I can see the big pile of notes that she's
Ah,
got.
yeah, yeah. I don't usually have any notes for any podcast, but like, I really like this book, and I didn't want to forget what I want to say. So I just wanted to pay attention to like small things. Please interrupt me. Please talk over me, Larash, okay? Because I don't want to be unstoppable here.
No, do it. Be unstoppable. Be ungovernable.
Yeah, so where am I? I wanted to point out one thing that I want to know what you think. Um, I said many times now that I loved this book and his writing style and everything. But
Yeah.
there was one character that was so annoying to me. I was
Oh,
like,
really?
I'm gonna cut you out of the book. I couldn't. I see your face,
Let me
Larash.
try and have a guess.
Okay.
Was it Kinderman, the
Yes!
detective?
I couldn't find proper reason for him to be in the story.
You're gonna hate the sequel then.
Or maybe I'm gonna love it. I don't know. I don't want to question this author. I didn't write any book, okay? And I love this. I think he had a reason to put him in the story. But every time he was there, I think it was his tactic, but like he always was saying the same thing. I know you're busy. I know I'm interrupting you. And I just wanted to shake him like, oh man, please just speak up. Please just ask what. I think it was
I think
his.
he was presented as a kind of.
Yeah.
Do you remember that old American cop show with Peter Falk, Columbo? Did you ever watch any of
I've
those?
never watched it. I remember the guy in his coat.
He seemed to be presented a bit like that kind of like he's obviously got a razor sharp mind, but he
Yes.
kind of disguises it through bumbling and
Yeah.
never getting to the point and that kind of
Tiring
thing.
you before he asks.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
tired me. you know. I mean, I
You're really not
guess
going to enjoy the
no,
sequel,
no,
are you?
no. I'm gonna read that. I actually am gonna read that. But I already ordered that book. But that was just like a side note. He was clever and he was asking correct questions about the death of that, what was it, Dennings? Anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah. So I wanted to say, like, for people who watched the movie, obviously the visuals of the movie are scary. But
Mm.
how does that translate to words? Did you feel
Mm.
like the scares in the book were good? I don't think it's like
Yeah.
jump scares, but I felt like he did well.
Yeah. I maybe again maybe it's because I read the book before I saw the movie, but I did find the book scarier than the film.
Me too. It went really deep, and that really made me feel so unsettled and disturbed. It's not jump scares, obviously, but like it's not even in many days. The whole story is not happening in many days. It was just following each day. It was getting worse and worse with her. But it's 400 pages.
Yeah, it's quite grueling. There is this kind of like sense of ever increasing dread that kind of like once Blatty kind of like committed to saying yes, it's demonic possession. There's this kind of dread
Yeah,
that just grows and grows and
yeah,
grows, and it gets to the point where he starts writing about a character going up to Reagan's room, and you
yeah.
start thinking, oh God, I don't really want to go back into that room. It's too much.
Yes, yes, exactly. And I had this lingering feeling that the question in my mind, well, I knew it from the movie, but I was trying to just read it as a new thing. Like, is Regan still in there? Is she even
Mm.
there?
Well, that's a good question,
Like,
isn't it? I
did
mean,
she know?
yeah, I mean, yeah, what happens? Has anyone ever written a novel about that aspect of possession?
Yeah,
You know, what happens to uh the
the
displaced?
vessel,
Yes,
whatever,
yeah.
or the
I mean,
yeah. Did
she
she?
must have either still been in there or gone, or because you know, at the end of the book, the end of the movie, obviously,
Yeah,
she's fine.
spoiler.
Well, not
Yeah.
fine, but sorry, yeah, we'll bleep that bit out. But it's an interesting question. I don't think anyone's ever done anything.
Yeah, I just kept thinking, does she hear those words? Can she feel it? Is she listening to that? And she can't do anything about it. It's like a
Mm,
sleep paralysis, like, is it?
yeah, yeah.
Or is she just gone and it's happening through her? Not gone, gone, but it really was, you
Well,
know.
there's a bit at the end where Chris says to Father Dyer that she didn't remember any of it.
Oh, yeah, she
Uh,
says that.
but I, when she said that, my immediate thought was, really? Or is
Nah.
that just what she's telling you?
Also, I don't know what the sequel does, but for some reason, at the end, Regan was scary to me. I'm not gonna lie.
Really?
She was scary to me. I did not believe that she's completely.
Oh, I'm not going to say anything.
Don't! Maybe it's not about her. You see, I don't trust anything now. I just thought, okay, so now she just grew strong with the entity or
Yeah.
whatever, and now she can pretend to be fine and go through the world with Pazuzu in her belly. Like, okay, I'm good, guys, but I have met
Pregnant with
even,
Pazuzu. Yeah.
uh, you know, that's
So who was your you said who your least favorite character was. Who was your favorite character?
oh, the priest slash psychiatrist, Damien Karras. I
Mm,
wish I could read even more about him. I really liked him.
fascinating character.
Yes,
Absolutely fascinating. Yeah.
such well written. He was no nonsense, even though he was a priest,
Mm,
which, I have some issues with priests. But like, not everybody is, how can I say it nicely? Anyway, everybody knows what I'm trying to say. This guy, I would love to meet him. Would like to
yeah.
talk to him. I loved his mind and
Yeah.
how he really was struggling with his faith, and he felt a
Yes.
lot of guilt, and it was showing in how he was approaching the whole thing, because there were some really good questions.
I read a couple of interviews with uh, Platty, not recently, a long time ago. And I always got the impression that Karras was him. He
Oh,
kind of like, yeah. I mean,
oh,
he did have he was quite. I mean, he was a Catholic himself,
I know.
um,
Now I remember that.
and I think Karras was kind of like the choice to make Karras a man who was kind of like on the verge of losing his faith, and also at the same time losing his faith in psychiatry and
Yeah.
science. He seemed he seemed to have this air of kind of like all the way through the novel, right from the first time we meet him. He has this air of desperation about he doesn't know where to turn.
Yes.
Mm.
And it
And
was
I think,
consuming him, even
yeah,
physically. He was not sleeping, he was not eating, was smoking, like chain smoking. No, no, like he didn't
yeah,
even stop. He couldn't. Also, while you're talking about him, I just want to insert this one thing. I don't know how many people use like audiobooks, But there is one that is narrated by Blatty,
Mm.
and it's a gem. Maybe it's because he's the author, but like, please have a listen. His voice. I read the book, like physically, I read it with my eyes and in the book. But also, I had to go back, so I have also the audiobook, and I was surprised. Oh my God, this guy's voice is reading it like he's painting a picture. It's so beautiful. It's a really master freaking chef's kiss. So I will come up with my little question slash theory.
Yeah, yeah, go.
This is why I needed my notes, because I was thinking about if this maybe was all a metaphor to something
Mm.
else completely. What if Reagan was sexually abused? And this whole
Oh,
thing was her suffering afterwards. Because her behavior is obscenely sexual,
yeah,
and
yeah.
she molests her mother at some point.
Mm.
She has the vocabulary she shouldn't have.
Yeah,
And the big question for me was, what was this Dennings guy doing in her room when she was alone? And
yes, because
maybe
it was
he
said,
needed to die. I just said that.
well, yeah. Do you know that has never occurred to me?
Yeah.
But now that you've said it,
If you look at this like from this
theory.
POV, it makes
Yeah.
sort of sense, because maybe Blatty wouldn't want to say it straight away.
Mm.
But also like all those desecrations that were going on, and the
Yeah.
oppression of the Catholic Church against everything overly sexual, and then we were still dealing with the Black Mass and satanic sexual.
Because
Yeah,
the desecrations themselves were quite sexual as well, weren't they?
it,
I mean, they were
everything.
quite
Yes,
certainly certainly they were presented that way in the film
yes,
as
yeah. It was in the book as well.
yeah,
It
yeah,
was the
yeah.
breasts and like, I'm not sure which words I can use here, but like genitals were attached to like statues of Saint Mary and
That's right. That's
stuff.
right. Yeah.
And you know, the dealing with the Catholic and the Black Mass,
Yeah.
the idea of Black Mass being overly sexual.
Mm,
Maybe it was just a backlash to the oppression. The whole book was
yeah.
dealing with this issue. Maybe it's not
Mm,
just me seeing it in there. Maybe it's also because I have been through something in
yeah.
my early life. So maybe I'm seeing things where they are not. But if you look at the book through this lens,
Yeah.
you might see symptoms of something he really maybe wasn't trying to like shout to the world. So
Mm,
maybe the whole Pazuzu thing was just her trauma.
yeah. Yeah. And you think Dennings could
Oh,
be the possible?
Dennings, because he was really not a nice guy. He was absolutely horrible to that servant. I don't want to call him servant. You
Carl.
know, Carl, the
Mm,
Swiss
mm,
guy,
yeah.
constantly calling him, you know
Oh, yeah.
what?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm,
And he was never nice to anybody.
mm,
He was coming and going. And I remember there was one sentence or one scene in the book, I think it's also in the movie, where he was also always drunk, but he was drunk in this scene. And I forgot what he was drinking, maybe whiskey or whatever. And he said something like, "Oh, there is a pubic hair in my drink."
yeah.
And there is no freaking reason for this sentence. There is no reason for him to say
No.
that. It doesn't connect to anything else, just to what I'm saying.
Mm,
And the question why he was there in her room. Why on earth?
it is a valid theory, definitely. I mean, I mean, she has an odd relationship with her dad.
Yeah, yeah, maybe
Um,
there's also something with the dad. Maybe.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, no, I mean, it definitely never occurred to me. But
Yeah.
now you've suggested it, definitely plausible.
It's much more plausible to my mind as to
Mm,
believe in Pazuzu, you
mm.
know.
Well, yes, I mean, we're kind of like
Yeah.
as rational people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also, even if it is Pazuzu, it was a good read, good
Mm.
movie. If it was Pazuzu, I need more of him.
More Patucci, please.
Oh
Yeah.
yes. So what was your understanding? What was going on with
Well, I
Reagan?
read it when I was quite young. I think I was a teenager when the first time I read it.
Really? Oh, must be scary.
It was fucking
Yeah.
terrifying. Yeah,
Yeah.
certainly slept with the lights on a lot after reading that. But I just bought completely into the whole demonic possession thing as the internal logic of the book. Um, it you know I didn't see any good reason as a teenager to think it was anything other than demonic possession.
Yeah.
But I think rereading it as an adult, I can certainly see why you think that.
Maybe it's open to interpretations. Maybe.
Yeah.
I would like to know what people think.
What did you think of the ending? Without trying to like spoil it for people, I guess, who may.
Yeah, as I told you, like a part of me wants to, for some strange reason, part of me wants to, poor Reagan, think that she's still possessed and there's going to be another story of her being the strong demonic woman and she's gonna be I don't think it's true.
But for that to be true, that would mean that Pazuzu would have had to have. I don't. We're going to spoil the shit out of this, but never mind. Um, Pazuzu would have had to leave her, go into Karas. Karas kills himself,
Yes,
and then Pazuzu would have to go back into Reagan.
but how do we know the demon actually went to Karas? Just because he died? He killed himself. How do we know? I mean, I think that was what it's
See,
supposed
I'm
to.
coming from. I'm coming from. I've got the benefit of having read the sequel.
Okay. You see, we need another episode for the sequel.
Yes,
We will have to do it.
definitely.
And I have no idea what's written there, but you are smiling. So, okay,
I
people.
don't think nothing you've said is invalidated by the sequel,
Yeah,
but equally it does clear up
I'm
a few of the
completely wrong.
questions. No, no, not at all, not at all. And to be honest with you, I don't think it's possible to be wrong about any work of art.
Yeah,
Um, all art is subjective, and it
yeah.
means what it means to the person experiencing it.
That's what is beautiful about it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
We are just sharing what we feel, what we think.
exactly.
So
Yeah, yeah.
if you people hate what we were saying, I don't know what to say. I couldn't imagine this movie being a book.
I think, well, yes, no, that's true. But I do think that there's a kind of like when you approach a book that is a stone cold classic of the genre, there is, like you say, there's kind of like the possibility you worry in your own head that you're not going to like it.
Yeah.
If I do have a criticism of The Exorcist, it might be that I did find it very difficult to find a connection with any of the
Yeah.
characters.
Yeah.
And
And
that's not a criticism at all, but it's very difficult to imagine the inner life of a very famous actress it's very difficult to imagine the inner life of a priest who's kind of like losing his faith.
Yeah.
I couldn't find a way to really connect with any of the characters. And then I thought to myself, get the fuck over it. It doesn't really matter. Just enjoy the book.
Mm-hmm.
And I did.
And you did. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I think so. I think we've talked The Exorcist to death now, haven't we?
Yes.
And
Yes.
we
So the
will.
Minisode is long.
So we are planning to read Legion, which is the sequel.
Mm-hmm.
We might read something else in between it just to give ourselves a bit of a breather.
Breather, yes.
But we will read Legion, and I will be particularly interested to see
Oh,
what you have to say about
I am so
it.
interested now. Really.
All right. Okay. So we will see you next time.
Yes. Thank you for being here. Take
Yeah.
care. And
Read a lot of books and enjoy a lot of books.
oh, yeah.